Hello and welcome. I'm Elaine. I'm a yoga instructor, and today's class is going to be a 30-minute chair yoga class. So most of the activity will be done seated, and I'll show a couple of modifications if you do want to stand up and do some of the poses standing. I'm holding on to the chair, just as another option. Just a couple of things that you might want to grab. Some kind of strap. You can use a bathrobe tie, a piece of rope, anything that can be used as a strap, and then a block. And you can use a book, a heavy book. It's not necessary if you don't have one, that's okay. Just we might kind of use these during class. And so I'll give you a moment to get those together before we start. So we'll go ahead and start finding yourself in a comfortable seated pose. And just close your eyes and just start to bring your attention and notice the contact with your feet on the floor. Maybe noticing each toe, the big toe and the second toe, the third toe, the fourth toe and the fifth toe, and just notice how they contact the floor. Bring your awareness to the ball of your foot, that fleshy part of your foot just beneath the toes. And just notice maybe where you bear more weight. As your weight more on the inside towards the big toe? Is it more on the outside towards the little toe? And then traveling down the foot, maybe notice the arch, where the arch should be. Maybe there's a little space between the arch of the foot and the floor. Maybe not. It's okay. We all have different shapes to our feet. And then go ahead and notice the contact of the heels on the floor. So imagine those heels rooting down into the earth. Maybe even envisioning roots growing down from those heels all the way down into the ground below. Rooting down, grounding, giving you a solid base of support. And then we'll go ahead and continue to travel up the legs. Maybe notice that's behind the thighs, the contact with the thighs on the chair. Noticing our pelvis and our sitting bones, those bones that you're sitting on. Taking a moment to notice if you sit more towards one side or the other. First, just notice. And then if you feel like you want to correct it, if you feel a little uneven, go ahead and do so and just notice how that feels in your body. To sit a little more square, a little more even. I myself notice I sit a little more to the right, so I just adjusted a little bit. Felt a little more contact on my left side and immediately my spine straightened a little bit. So you might notice a little counter adjustment when you make those shifts. And then go ahead and notice if your breath changed. You may even kind of go back to your habitual pattern. Take notice of how your breath feels. And then shift your weight to a more even position. And once again, take note of how your breath feels. Maybe there's a shift, maybe there's not. It's all just about noticing and being aware of these tiny little changes in our bodies. Just being more aware of those processes happening allows us to become more in tune with ourselves, more discerning with changes in our body, and also more in tune, not waiting till it's in a disaster zone, but noticing the little changes before and being able to assess, is this a good feeling or is this a bad feeling? It's a super important skill to develop for ourselves. So let's continue with focusing on the breath for the next, let's say 15 breaths. We'll just breathe in through the mouth or the nose, filling with air to a point where you feel you want to release into an exhale. It's up to you. The depth of your breath is up to you. You might feel like challenging yourself a little today by breathing a little bit deeper, seeing how much you can fill, and just making sure you're exhaling all the way to the bottom. So getting all that air out at the bottom until you naturally just want to inhale once again. And let's go ahead and do that for about 10 more breaths. Last couple of breaths here. Let's do a last full inhale and exhale together. Then slowly open your eyes if they were closed. There's always an option. If I say close your eyes, there's always an option to keep your eyes open. This class is up to you. Your choices for your state of mind, your state of being. So we'll start next to warm up the spine. We're going to do some cat cows. If you can scoot forward in the chair a little bit just to give yourself a little bit of room. Hands can stay resting on the knees. We're going to round forward, bringing the chin to the chest, rounding forward, kind of slumping through the upper back. The hands might slide forward as the back rounds back. Taking a breath here, and then reversing that movement, bringing the chest forward, maybe lifting the chest, pulling the shoulders back, hands draw back. I'm going to turn sideways so you can see my back, just to give you an idea. So rounding forward, chin to chest, hands drawing forward, spreading those shoulder blades behind the back, maybe feeling a stretch in the back of the neck between the shoulder blades, and then reversing, drawing up, pulling the shoulders back. Maybe you lift the chin if you want to get a little more stretch into the neck. That's up to you. Let's do that 3 more times. Gradually feeling like maybe you can get a little bit more motion as your spine and that warms up and as your fascia starts to give a little bit. Go with that one more time. And rounding. Good. So finishing on the rounding here, we'll go ahead and walk our feet apart and just continue to bring those hands towards the floor. This is where if you have a block or a book and your hands don't reach the floor, you can use that, put that on the floor and your hands can maybe reach the block. And just fold forward, allow your head to bend. If you get dizzy, you might want to keep your head up and looking forward. Otherwise, allowing the forward bend and feeling the stretch go a little bit further down your spine, maybe into your hips. And we'll take a few breaths here. And then we'll gently release, move your block to the side, walk your feet back in and slowly roll up. Let's lift the arms up or to whatever distance you want to lift your arms. You can bring your hands to your chest, bring your hands forward. or bring them all the way up. Either way, we're taking breath in and then exhaling, taking breath down. So again, that breath might look like this. It can look like this. Or it can look like any version of this. And down. Let's do 2 more times. If you have someone available that can help you lift your arms, this feels kind of nice with some assistance. Good. 1 more time, lift. And exhale, release. You can grab your strap if you have one. It's not necessary, but if you do have one and want to use it, we're going to put it around the foot and just go into a stretch here. My foot looks very big on the screen. I'll lower it down a little bit. So if you don't have a strap, it's just lifting your foot forward, stretching through the back of the leg. If you're not using the strap, you can point and flex your foot a few times, make some ankle circles. If you're using the strap, you're just kind of holding it there, pulling your ankle back, getting a stretch in the calf, making sure you maintain your breath. So this isn't a forced or aggressive stretch where you can't continue to breathe. That's with all the postures presented. If you're unable to breathe, if you're holding your breath, that's a sign you might need to back out just a little bit less effort. We'll take 1 more breath here and exhale, release. Go ahead and we'll switch sides. So raising the opposite foot. Again, moving gently into this stretch. It can be a little bit intense in the hamstrings. So we don't need to go to our full end range right away. We can allow the body to soften and gradually move into the end range without resistance. Again, if you're not using the strap, you can go ahead and point and flex your foot. Ankle circles. And release. So the first pose we'll go into is going to be Warrior 2. So I'll show you the seated and standing version. Seated version, your right leg's going to come out to the side slightly. And then your left leg's going to have some version of coming out to the side this way. Okay, it might not look exactly like how I'm doing it. This leg can be bent, but as long as the knees are moving apart, some version of that. And then the arms come out to the side. And then if it feels okay on your neck, you'll look over to the right side. If you want to do this standing, you can come behind the chair and use the chair for support. Right knee turns out, the same legs, and then maybe it's just one. Come down a little lower here so you guys can see me. Maybe it's just one hand looking out, and this hand is helping you balance. Maybe helping you keep a little lift to your chest. And we'll breathe. Feeling the strength in your legs, so press down through your feet, whatever position you're in, you can still press down through your feet. Feeling that pressing down, that work in the legs will allow you to lift your chest a little bit higher, maybe some lightness in the chest. Your gaze is soft over that right hand, jaw is soft, so maybe open and close your mouth a few times to make sure you're not clenching. We'll take 1 more breath here, inhale, and exhale, release. We'll go right into the other side. So those who are standing can bring their legs together for a moment. Those who are seated can do the same just to neutralize the hips. And then we'll switch sides. So left foot out, right foot out to the side, right hand on the chair, left fingertips pointing forward. And then again, if you want to turn and look at your hand, that feels okay on your neck. Again, if you're standing, you can press a little bit into the chair. See if that helps you get a little bit of lift, but still continue to press down through your feet. Get that grounding, get that work in the legs. I'll come down and do the seated version down here. We'll do one more breath. And release. We'll come back to center. Hips come together. Neutralize the hips for a moment. And then we'll go into a warrior one pose. So seated warrior one is going to look like this. You can straighten your leg and lift your arms. So right knee is bent, left foot is lifted. Both hands come overhead, and we'll hold that. If you're standing, you could stand sideways to the chair. Right foot forward, left leg back. One arm can be raised. And I apologize for my head being cut off, but right arm is raised and we're breathing. Same concept, pressing down through the feet while lifting up through the chest. And then one more breath and release. Legs return to neutral, and then we switch sides. This time the left foot forward, right foot back. Left arm reaches up. And if you're seated, right foot forward, both arms come up, or to some version, depending on your shoulder range of motion. For those who are seated, this is a lot of work in that lifted leg. A lot of good strengthening going on here. And we'll breathe for 3, 2, and 1. Release everything down. Neutralize again the hips and the shoulders. Take a breath or two. The next pose we'll do is extended side angle. So same legs as warrior 2. So we're going to do right knee out, left leg back. This time our right arm comes to our thigh. And again, the left arm can lift overhead or some version of it. It can be at your hip. But the goal here is to get a little bit of side bend to stretch along the left side of the body, opening up the outer side of the rib cage, the outer side of the trunk and the hip. If you're standing, it looks like this. I would keep one hand on the chair instead of the thigh if you want to lift your hand overhead. So holding on for balance. And again, you can have whatever size stance you want. It doesn't have to be a big stance. Just feeling that stretch and feeling that breath move through this side of the rib cage, opening up the intercostal spaces. It's not an area we often access, but it helps improve our breathing. And then we'll release, bring the feet together, and then we'll switch sides. So this time, left knee is out to the side, left hand's on the chair for balance, right hand comes up and overhead. And if you're in the chair, it looks like this. Notice the difference in flexibility, or notice the different sensations as you bend to the right or the left. And again, having someone at home that can help you with these postures is very useful. If you can't get into them, but someone can help you get into them, you can still get really great benefit. So I invite you to try that. We'll do one more breath here, breathing in, feeling that space opening, and release. So if you have been standing, I want to have you come back to the chair. Our last pose or two here is going to be done seated for everybody. So come back to neutral, rest your hands on your legs. Just take a moment to reset, and we're going to finish up with a twist and a forward bend. So the twist is going to look like this. Right hand is going to come to the chair leg, the chair itself, some place along the side here. And then we're going to take a breath in, just gently sit up a little bit straighter. It's not a huge effort, just noticing a little bit more of an upright posture. Left hand comes to the right knee. And then we gently just turn our body. Again, we're not going to go to full end range all at once. We're going to use our breath and maybe stop where you feel a little bit of resistance. Okay, that's our first stopping point, and we just breathe. And then maybe we start to feel that there's a little softening. Maybe not. This might be where you stop, but if there's a little softening, you can go a little bit further till you feel what we call the next barrier. So the next time you feel a little resistance, a message saying, just stop here and breathe. Again, a fine place to stay is right here. If you're continuing to soften, we've got a few more breaths to work in this pose. So you can continue to twist if that feels okay. Again, we're moving slowly and we're listening to the messages being sent by our bodies. When we get ready to unwind here in a minute, it's going to be the same slow process as coming into the pose. We don't want to wrench ourselves out of it. So first step is releasing the left hand, releasing the right hand, and then slowly turning forward. Felt good. Maybe roll out your shoulders a little bit. Do whatever little movements you want to do to get the kinks out. And then we'll go ahead to the other side. So left hand back on the chair somewhere, and then right hand, little gentle upright sit, and then right hand to left knee. And then again, slowly moving into the pose using your breath, being aware of the barriers of resistance that you reach, that you meet, and being kind to yourself and allowing that pause to happen. And having the awareness or the goal to have awareness to feel when that area might soften to allow a little bit more space. Continuing to feel your breath move easily through your body, right? So it's not stuck, it's not being held, it's continuing to be a soft and easeful breath. As we continue in the twist for about 5 more breaths. Last breath here. Remember, slowly unwinding. So releasing the hands, slowly coming back to center. Roll it out, shift your weight. Twist this can be so refreshing and rejuvenating. So let's finish with a forward fold just to neutralize the spine and release anything that's left in the back. So again, if you want to bring your block forward and use your block on the floor or your book, just folding forward between your knees that are spread slightly apart. Allow the head to be heavy and drop. We'll do one more breath here. And then walk the feet in, slowly rolling up, move the block to the side. Coming back to a seated position. So we'll finish with a modified version of Savasana. If you have anything nearby to make yourself more comfortable, I'm going to grab a pillow and put that pillow behind my back here. You might want to take that block or that book and put your feet up on the block. You can kind of straighten your knees, rest your heels on the block, and just lean back a little bit. If you don't have any props, you can also just lean back and have your feet straight or bent. Any position that allow you just to kind of relax and get comfortable. So I'll give you a minute to get adjusted into whatever final pose, what position you want to get in. And then go ahead and start to return to your breath. Bring our awareness back to our feet. Feeling the contact with the feet on the floor, whatever surface it's on. Maybe starting to notice if there's a little bit more awareness after the practice today. Traveling up the legs behind the thighs. Feel the contact of your pelvis and your hips on the chair. Traveling up even further and feeling and noticing the breath moving through your chest and your belly. Noticing, breathing, and intending some heaviness into your arms, releasing the shoulders, feeling the hands heavy on the thighs. And then finally, bringing awareness to the facial muscles, relax, maybe your jaw, maybe your mouth is slightly open. Maybe noticing how the muscles in your neck feel. And finally, just noticing this space around the top of your head, your forehead, your ears. And then I'll leave you in silence for the next 2 minutes to just reap the benefits of the practice, allow your body to integrate the gifts received. As you start to bring some awareness back into your body, maybe wiggling your fingers and toes, maybe turning your head from side to side. I'm going to read a quote from Rumi to conclude class. I am the air I breathe. I am life. I am nothing and I am everything. I am not my hair. I am not my skin. I am the soul that lives within. I thank you all for joining me in class today. May you be happy, may you feel free, and may the energy created during class today benefit all beings everywhere. Namaste.